Good morning, everyone. Everyone that is on, Denise and Miss Sienna, Kirsten, Michelle, thank you all for being here this morning on Catalyst Coffee. Tanya, we are missing you. We hope you're having a blast in Singapore. We're dying to know what you got out of the Diamond and President Day yesterday. Every time I wake up, I'm checking messages to see what is going on in Singapore. So today for Catalyst Coffee, I hope everyone's got their little coffee drink. I got my little chai tea this morning and just wanted to reach out to all of you and let you know that today we are going to talk a little bit about the proper way to follow up. And the reason for it is because for those of you that were here yesterday, we did a big blitz yesterday to drive people to a call last night. And your diamond leader, Michelle Lorenz, nailed it out of the park for all of them. Welcome, Sierra. Good morning, sweetheart. And so she did a phenomenal job. If you have anyone that is healthcare provider driven, EMTs, nurses, people who are in the healthcare professional, physical therapists, you name it, who work with patients on a daily basis, please reach out to us so that you can see exactly how it was done last night, just so that you know how to pull some of those really great nuggets that she talks about. Just know that when you watch the recording, you do not need to have to know how to duplicate it. Please, you guys, use your resources and use the recordings for those that are appropriate. Figure out which recordings work for the people that you are working with the most. If they are a network marketer, bring them to a recording that is geared towards that. If they are someone in the corporate industry, bring a recording to them that's geared towards that. This one last night just happened to be due to people that are in the healthcare facility or industries, and it was wonderful. So our double president millionaire, Ramasio Fulcher, came to us with a recording on exactly how to follow up with your people when they have said yes to coming to your launch and they did not show up. So last night I had 3 for sure yeses. Out of that, 1 showed up. Just so you know, you guys, that's pretty much the odds. 1 and 3 are that you have confirmed for your call are truly actually going to show up. So do not feel bad if you had 10 people that said yes and only 3 showed up. That is pretty much the industry odds. And getting people to calls is not the easiest thing in the world. But if you can get them there, it's truly worth it. And so we just wanted to run through real quick on how do you appropriately get them back interested and engaged when they fail to not be able to come to the call. So this is how Moss says it. Hey, Bob, man, we missed you the other day on the call. What happened? Get with them on the phone, you guys, and let them know that you truly care. There's a reason why they did not make it to the call. There's a reason why they said, I will be there, Katie. Yes, I had a girl 1 hour before. She's like, Miss Katie, I cannot wait to hear this information. Yes, I'll be there. So today, what am I going to do? I'm going to call her. Say, Kelly, oh my gosh, we missed you last night. What happened? And truly, genuinely care why they didn't make it on the call. Have that conversation, because guess what, you guys, for me, family comes first, and sometimes things happen in life that you just have no control over. So make sure that you have that conversation. And if once they tell you, have a genuine concern, and or if they just forgot, that's okay too, right? So let me ask you, Kelly, are you still serious about being the first in the world to know about what it is that we have? Are you still interested in finding out about the news that's getting ready to explode around the world? It's the biggest breakthrough in the healthcare industry, and it's a huge opportunity on the table for the right people. Kelly, I just want you to know, if you're really serious about wanting to find out about what the news is first, let me know. If she says yes, continue on to the next question. If she says no, I looked into it or I made my decision, I'm just not really interested, or now's not the right time, we can talk about navigating those as well and walking through. Chad and Natita and Moss did an incredible way of handling objections. If you guys have not seen that, please reach up to your upline sponsor or diamond leader, whatever the case may be, and let them know, and we will get you that recording, because some people do have it on their YouTube channels, and it is really, really good on how to handle objections. So that's for a whole nother Catalyst Coffee Day. However, if they say yes, move on to number 2. Kelly, let me ask you something. How soon could you carve out 30 minutes to watch something if I sent you the information right now? What, Michelle? Go ahead.
make sure you know which presentation you're sending, because mine went longer than I wanted last night. So don't say 30 and then give them a 45-minute webinar.
Yes. Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. And there was a time when I honestly was using Chad Chong's for a very long time, and I knew that it was 42 minutes. So I never held my ground to 30 minutes. I would always say, you know, if you can give me a little, if you can give me, you know, 40, 45 minutes, I would truly appreciate it. And so that was kind of my way of letting them know and not sticking them to 30 minutes of their evening, and then them not being able to, or them being not upset, but still like, well, you told me it was this long, but now I'm 50 minutes in and this is not what I was expecting. So just set their expectations ahead of time correctly. Sorry, I'm trying to cut and paste all of this to you guys so that you have it. Okay, so how much time? Know your presentation. How much time is your presentation? Set their expectation correctly. Okay, Kelly, how soon can you carve out 35 minutes and take the time to watch this? If they tell you it's evening, if they tell you it's right now, whatever the case may be, make sure that you're just respectful of their time. We want to make sure that, for me, I am best at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, because I know that my baby's already in bed. I've already taken care of him for the evening. So make sure when you're having these conversations, you're very respectful of what works best for them. However, in Moss's language, this is what he says. How soon could you carve out 30 minutes to watch something if I sent the information to you right now? If I sent you the information to watch a webinar that explains everything, the big new, the big surprise, the whole deal, how soon could you take 30 minutes to watch it? If they say, yes, I'm ready right now, great, move on. If not, what time can you do it? What time works best for you? Make sure once you have that time set, you set an alarm 10 minutes previous in your phone, because you might forget, and you don't want to forget sending it to them. So if Kelly comes back to me and says, 8 o'clock tonight, I will have 30 minutes of my own time. This will work great for me. At 7:50, I'm going to say, send presentation to Kelly at this number or on this platform. What social media platform am I working with her on? In this case, I'm working with her through Shaper. When I'm on the call with her and having the conversation, I'll say, sweetheart, do you want me to send it to you through Shaper, or would you like me to send it through in a text message? What's easiest for you? Or email? What's the best way for me to send it to you? However that is, I'm going to post that in my calendar. I'm going to say at 8 p.m. tonight, I'm going to set it for 7:50 or 7:45, send presentation, and which presentation at 8 p.m. to her on which social platform. Does that make sense? Does that help? Okay. And so then your fourth question, or your third question, is what time can you do it, right? Easy peasy, done, 8 o'clock. Your fourth question, are you sure you can do it at 8 p.m. tonight? Yes. Okay, great. Here's what I'm going to do. I recorded the actual meeting where we pre-released all the information. I'm going to send you the recording via text message or whatever platform like we discussed. But I'm going to send this to, but you've got to promise you aren't going to send it to anyone else. This is a big deal, you guys, because if they're going to start using the recording and they don't know how to appropriately send it to someone else, it's not going to set them up for success in their future. And the pre-launch call is most often used for you personally. So now if Kelly is sending it out to Bob, and Bob is getting this pre-launch release that's talking all about Katie, and she's looking for her top 10, whatever the case may be, so like, Kelly, who the crap is Katie and what is going on? It's just not going to set their business up for success. So make sure that you put that in there. You've got to promise me you aren't going to send this to anyone else. I'm only doing this as I promised you I would let you know first. That's where that in the oven talk came from. Do you want to be the first to know? So you're giving them not only the top priority on allowing them to have the recording, but you're doing it on a one-on-one with them, not a 1-on-10 with their top 10. Make sense? Okay. And then if I send it to you at 8 p.m., will you take 35 minutes to watch it? Text me your response at the end of the webinar. At the end of the webinar, it asks if you are 1 or a 2. It explains it all at the end. So I can tell you, I've been walking through with Laura Reed. For those of you that know, she's a diamond in our company. I have been walking through the last 2 weeks with her as she has been doing 4 pre-launches with Ramasio Fulcher. And each one I'm like, okay, how did it go? What is your follow-up? What are you focusing on? And she said that her results on getting people to join her have been almost just as good as getting them to the pre-launch with Moss as it has using this script as her follow-up, because she's using a sense of urgency. She's allowing them to have that anticipation of thinking, oh my gosh, she not only did I miss the call and I feel terrible about it, but she's still giving me that option to be her number one or in her top so many, right? And so she said, I'm calling them. I'm like, are you still interested? Okay, what time can you watch it? I'm not sending this to you until you are truly available to watch this. And there's a reason why. As soon as you see the 30 minutes or you hear all about it, you're going to understand why. But I need to know, when can you watch it? And as soon as you're done, we're getting back on the phone and we're going to have another conversation about it. And she is completely using urgency. I don't think that girl's been off the phone in 2 weeks straight. I'm not kidding you. It has been incredible how she's getting through her oven list. But she's using a sense of urgency. She's getting the video out to them exactly when they can watch it. She's getting back on the phone exactly. So if someone says they can watch it at 8 o'clock, from 8 to 9, that is their time. And she tells them that. They watch it from 8 to 8:30. She gets back on the phone with them. She has the conversation. She walks through the comp plan. And then she says, okay, but at 9 o'clock, I'm going on to the next person who's watching it after you. Does that make sense? She's using an extreme sense of urgency, and she's allowing them to know, this is your time. This is what you get from me. You're in or you're out. You're a 1 or you're a 2. Either way, I love you. And what's your answer? And it is working flawlessly. That's why a pre-launch is so successful, because she's following exactly what Ramasio asked her to do. All right, guys, what questions do you have for me? You can unmute.
I guess I have questions about if there's a way to extract some of this to follow up with the people that were on the call last night. Because of course, I've never had it where somebody gets back to me right away with a 1, a 2, or a 3, right? So I need to go back to them. And since it was late last night, I just figured I would let it kind of sift through the night. Because for some people it was, like 9 or 10.
And that's exactly what I'm doing today, Kirsten. So the 3 people that told me they were going to be on last night,
yeah.
I'm going to use exactly what you just said, your own words. I'm going to say, hey, Sarab, I saw that you made it on last night. I know we didn't get to catch up at the end of it last night. I know it was super late. So I'm just giving you a call today. Want to make sure that whatever works best for you, we have time to connect. That's if he doesn't answer and I just leave him a message. And then make sure that I continue up on the follow-up. If he answers, I'm just be like, oh my gosh, what did you think? What did you like? And just be like, what did you like best? Just like you would do if you sent them a recording.
Uh-huh.
Use your excitement, what they liked. If they did not make it on last night, follow the script. Mm-hmm. Get on the phone, be like, hey, I know you said you could be on last night. And sometimes you can even say, I saw there was people on the call last night, but all it gave me was a phone number, or all it gave me was another name, but there's no picture. So I'm not quite sure. Were you able to make it on? Oh, you weren't? Okay. Well, is everything okay? What happened? And then follow that same script.
And
are you still interested?
What about the maybes? Because I had several, I'm going to really try. I know what Ma said, like you either get them in or out, but what about the maybes? Do you kind of use that script back with them too?
I start out by going, oh my gosh, I know you didn't have a chance to make it, you guys. We hit it out of the ballpark. You missed an epic recording. And go from there. Start out with the excitement. I am so excited to share it with you. Even though you didn't make it, we got the recording. I'd love to give it to you now, and kind of that same thing. They talked about what's coming out, the history we're making this weekend, how nobody else in the world is doing this. They mentioned physicians that are excited. You need to build the excitement to get them to want to watch a recording. Because who wants to watch a recording, right? That's the whole thing, right? So you've got to make it like, we're going to Disneyland. You want to come with me? Right?
Love it.
Thank you.
And that feels awkward saying that about my own webinar. Just for you.
It was so good. It was so good.
Girl, you can rock it. Heck yeah. It was fantastic.
Does anybody want to discuss their follow-up they were able to complete after last night's call? Sierra had a good the
Well,
doctor that was on. She had a good response.
Dr. Hutchins, he gave me, and I wasn't able to grab the script on my phone, so I kind of screenshotted a couple, and he gave me some suggestions of like people to get in touch with, and then he sent me a text, but yet he's also the dude that signed up yesterday. So I called him, I've talked to him months ago, been in contact with him, sent him that stuff Ma said, got him in my oven, and then yesterday sent him the invitation to the call last night. Literally from that invitation text, in the time in between, he had clicked my link that I'd sent him on my helo.life, watched a 3-minute a couple times, then did the tour lead on that. So I'm getting like notifications that he's going through this, signed up for the webinar, watched the webinar, and then called me in the middle of my like going away party with work and was talking to me. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, Michael. I'm like, my phenomenal leader is going to cover a lot of these questions that you have. I'm like, I don't mean to cut you short. Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I'll see you tonight. Was probably one of the first ones on that webinar, but in the meantime, still signed up, but he didn't purchase anything. So now I'm like, I don't know how to handle that one, because it was really weird that he signed up but didn't purchase anything, but yet then sent me kind of an odd text message. So I really don't know how to, I don't know.
Is he the one that he had said he was familiar with network marketing before?
So the one I just sent you, Michelle, is John. So he's the one that was asking a lot of the FDA questions. He's the CEO of Lysolin or something, which must be something with diabetics, because I know he stuck a little thing in there like, you should check out this for diabetes or whatever. But then he privately messaged me and said he was a 2 in that call, but then sent me the message that I screenshotted for you via LinkedIn. So I'm like,
so here's the answer to those FDA questions that you'll get from healthcare people quite a bit. So I can read it to you guys. You have it, let me pull it up. See. It said, the problem with MLM is that you end up pestering family and friends and they get tired of it. So you've got one objection you have to deal with there. $359 is a pretty large expense. So number 2, we're cheaper than, obviously go back to the chart and tell them that we are cheaper than Garmin's and Samsung's and, the group. If they do not have FDA clearance, you cannot sell it for measuring glucose. Why can't they direct folks to published clinical studies? Good luck, John. And then he told her to Google Toshiba and non-invasive glucose. They promised to have a product in 2005 and there's no published data. So a couple different things. You can say, first of all, we actually did some clinical studies, and you're going to be able to tell him that we have a CE mark on it, just like our Biozen does. So if you look at the box that Antonio and Fabio have taken a picture of, it has that little red cross on it that we have just like Biozen. So you can say we actually have a CE mark, which in the doctor I spoke to yesterday from Africa, he's like, a CE mark will get you anywhere you want except for the US, right? Essentially, the US people they're going to wait for FDA, but the CE mark is what most of the rest of the world uses. So you can say, first of all, we actually did do studies. We are working on FDA approval, but the reason we're not releasing our clinical studies yet is because we don't want to hold ourselves out as a medical device until and if we have FDA approval. That's what our clinical studies are for the FDA first, right? But we did indeed do clinical studies with our non-invasive glucose. You can share Fabio's video from CES with somebody that's really skeptical, where he shows that we're testing it. And then the way I explain it when I set up a call with a doctor, somebody that I know who's going to go to the FDA questions, is I tell them ahead of time, like, look, we're a monitoring device right now. We're working on getting FDA approval. And then the 2 things that matter. And number 1, let me walk you through why we didn't put a display on the device. Had we put a display on the device like Apple and Fitbit and everybody else, we would have been required to get FDA approval. This would have been a medical device, but he was smart and he decided to use it on an mHealth app. So we were able to go to market as a consumer product, get our penetration in the market. We sold 1 million devices last year in our first year. We got the footprint. We had to do that to beat the Apples and the Fitbits, right? So you've given him kind of that our CEO was really brilliant, honestly, from a legal perspective, brilliant to go to market, penetrate the market first as a consumer device. Concurrently, he purchased a company called Hika. It was a medical devices company over in Italy. That company has experience getting FDA approval. So his method of growing this company is a lot like Warren Buffett's. He goes out and he finds a company that has the expertise that we need. He bought that company. He subsumed them under the World Technology umbrella, and they are now Mednua. And Mednua has been overseeing our clinical studies, and they are working on the process to get FDA approval. They will also be the division that ultimately integrates directly with hospitals and clinics, right? So what you've just done is you took his objection and you said, not only are we doing it, but we did it the right way legally, but we also did it the right way from a marketing perspective. Really ingenious of our CEO to do that, right? And you drew a parallel with one of the wealthiest men in the world, Warren Buffett, who is also, by the way, when you get somebody like Sierra says, well, the problem with MLM is like Warren Buffett owns an MLM too, right? He owns Pampered Chef. So you've kind of taken this man that everybody reveres in the business world and you've thrown him into the dialogue. That's why I started with Mark Cuban, right? You want this to be other smart businessmen that are doing this, right? And so that's one of the ways is to talk about, and I don't include that anymore in my webinar because it's too much and it creates too many questions for people. But if you've got somebody like John, Sierra, that's how you would kind of give him some of that feedback, right? Is basically setting the ground for him. This is all that we're doing. We freaking bought a company to get FDA approval. Like this isn't like we decided to go put something on the shelf at the dollar store, right? And that's also the reason that I start with the booth at CES, because anybody that's ever been to a conference knows that that booth is a $400,000 or $500,000 booth, right? They get that wasn't something that, like, we wouldn't have done what we did at CES to not be able to go to market. Who would waste, $500,000? Of course we wouldn't. So that's to address that question with him. And then the other part of it, because he said you can't sell it for measuring glucose. So apparently you didn't listen to the presentation. We aren't doing a finite reading right now. This device alone, without the extends, is capable of measuring blood glucose. The reason we don't do it right now is because we don't have FDA approval. The same sensors that are in this are the sensors that are going to be in the clinical device, the Helo 2, that is going to work without the extends, right? That's why we're doing 10-point increments, because we're doing trends until we have FDA approval. We are able to do that without being called a medical device. That is also why we're talking about sugar trends and why you have to be careful about using the word glucose or CGM. But this device, these sensors are capable of doing continuous glucose monitoring once we have FDA approval. That help?
Yeah. Would it work to ever see if he'd get on a call with you and I? Because
yeah, I don't mind.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, I think Michelle.
Honestly, had he not been such a pistol in the chat, I could have fielded these calls last night because we had the same calls from the doctors the night before. There was a doctor from, I think he's Pakistani, and was very, very dominant and aggressive and wouldn't let me get through my conversations, right? And I answered question after question after question after question, and at the end he's like, I'm in. So, right, so sometimes you have to meet power with power, right? So that's that. It had everybody else, if it hadn't been such a big call, if there had just been 2 or 3 people on the call, I would have been okay taking, but I saw the numbers and I saw Katie's like, oh shit, this guy's a problem. Oops, sorry, we're recording. Sorry, Tanya. I saw Katie's message like, nope, we're not doing this. I'm like, okay, so I just need to end it. But normally if it's a smaller call, and that's the reason I like specific calls. I threw some things in last night because people told me they were having athletes on and a couple people that were network marketers, right, and stuff. So if it's just a physician call, and we know we have nobody but 5 or 6 or 10 physicians, you can get into this. But for the other people, it's too much, right? So you don't want to address it unless you have a really specific audience. So Yeah, I mean, I don't mind helping you out, Sierra, until Tanya's back. If you need me to jump on a call with him, we can do a short call with him.
I have a question about what do you think the vision of those doctors is to get involved? Is it to get it into their clinics, to get onto their patients, or is it to? I would like to know how you guys thought that was actually going to play out. Not long term, because we don't know really long term.
Doctors when I recruit them.
Short term. I'm sorry. What?
Let me read you what I send to doctors after to get them on. On LinkedIn, I congratulate them on the success. I don't tell them we made a lot of money. I only tell them we sold 1 million devices last year. And I say, with the launch of our device with our clinical grade sensors, my goal is to implement our technology. And then I use 4 things: to empower patients to know their numbers, so I'm not talking about the doctors. This is like giving their patients something they can use. To facilitate the collection of PGHD. You guys might have seen that on that slide that stands for patient-generated health data. That's a slide I only use with doctors, in ongoing clinical studies. So I've got a couple doctors I'm talking to who are thinking about using this for their patients after they've been released from the hospital, in any of the other studies, just like Dr. Snyder's doing, right, at Stanford. 3, to decrease, and this is huge for doctors that are practicing, to decrease hospital readmissions, because it's going to give them proactive notifications if they need to intervene with their patients. And 4, to alert patients of the changes in their vital signs. But if the doctor from his LinkedIn page looks like he's an entrepreneur and has other investments, that's the other way to approach them. Look, this is an opportunity. Even if you decide not to do a lot until you have FDA approval, you can also get paid in your practice if you're monitoring patients. So you should read those articles on the third-party site about the CMS billing code 99091 and how they get paid, right? So you can also supplement the income in your practice and the way to rationalize that with a doctor like John, whatever his name is by simply to say, this is no different than a patient bringing you in a sheet of paper that tells you they took their blood glucose every morning, that they did their blood pressure every morning, or once a week they went to Walmart and took their, right? This is patient generated data, but it's accurate. Like this is, it's an objective study that you're just going to have the records of. They don't have to remember to do it every 30 minutes. It's going to automatically do their blood pressure every 30 minutes. So if you characterize it as patient generated data, that's where you get away from the whole FDA issue. This is patient generated data. Mm-hmm. It's coming from the patient's body, right? And then, so we went through the 4, and then understanding the billing code so they can make money. That's a big deal for them. But for people that are truly like investors or people who have concierge family practices where they're taking outside direct money, they love this as an investment. And I just kind of say to them, depending on where they are, like I looked at them and they practiced in California, or they did med school in California, like, what beachfront property like in Newport Beach, that's what you're doing right now, is you're staking your claim on beachfront property in Newport Beach in 1950. And then you're waiting until everything develops around you.
Okay.
Okay, do you have other suggestions?
I thought that was incredible. Thank you. I just wanted to stop the recording right now. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We appreciate it so much. And for all of you that are going to be watching the replay on this, watch it about 5 times. There's some incredible nuggets in here. And as my husband always says, the smartest business people in the world are ones that go and eat up other companies that are already doing what they ultimately want to be doing. And that's exactly what our company is doing. So think of this as a business, not as a hobby. All right, guys, treat it like a business and I'll pay you like a business. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. And I am going to sign off. Thank you, everyone.